How's it, Orchids and Fynbos friends? Dave here with another blooms update and a few other little things. To say this month has been eventful is an understatement. There's been so much happening since the beginning of December with flowers and various other things, but I just wanted to give you guys an update of what's been happening, both with the wild orchid videos and with my collection. So to start, as you can see, there's quite a few things that are in bloom at the moment. A few other orchids that were in bloom at the beginning of December that I was waiting to, I was waiting for others that were in bud to actually show it all at the same time. Obviously that doesn't always happen. So early on in the month I had the Ladia purpurata in flower, which I'll insert images of that beautiful orchid. I also had my Sigmorchus pusilla, which I'll also insert images of that one in flower. So I was quite excited to see those. The Ladia has flowered for me before, but the blooms are absolutely beautiful, as well as the scent that it has is quite interesting. These Sigmorchus pusilla has also flowered for me early on in the year. It's a sequential bloomer, it's back in bud at the moment as well, but I really enjoy that little orchid as well. I keep the Sigmorchus pusilla in my in a little terrarium. Then on this table, as you can see, quite a few things in flower, some for the first time, which is why I say it's quite eventful. But I think what I want to start with is this one over here, which is in bud. So this is obviously not in flower at the moment, but the reason I wanted to show you guys this, I will definitely make a video when it's in flower, which I imagine probably is going to be January. This is the Phragmipedium Fritz Schomburg, and I'm really excited to see this one in flower for the first time. So obviously I have been doing very well with Phragmipediums. I keep them in a self-watering type of pot with basic gravel, rock wool and a few other things, which has been doing really well for me. So yeah, pretty excited about this one. The reason I want to chat to you a bit about this is because I have another secret in the bottom over here on the side, which you'll have to wait till the end of the video to hear more about. Then another exciting orchid. The flowers aren't the best. This is the orchid's first flowering. So I'm not too surprised at this one, but this is my Cattleya leopoldii for the Cerulean form. It's called the Kathleen clone. It's actually an awarded clone. So really excited to see this one flower for the first time. This was from the Sunset Valley Orchid Hall, so yeah, you can imagine my excitement when this one started to bloom. So can't wait for its next blooming, which I imagine might be maybe in 6 months. I'm not sure how often it puts out a cane, but it might be this time next year. The fragrance is very interesting. It fills the greenhouse, even though the why I say the petals weren't the best is it was a bit it's missing a few. I think it's the petals that were missing in the orchid this time around, but obviously that will be righted in this next blooming. The scent is very sweet. It's so beautiful. It's a bit clovey, so it's sweet and clove and a few other spicy notes there, but absolutely beautiful, and I really love the scent of this one. The next orchid I'm going to move on to is the jewel orchid. This is my first jewel orchid. It's in flower now at the moment. I actually got this one, I think, in bud in the September haul that Plante Orchid sent me. This also, not many people talk about it, but it's a bit of it's a sweet scent. It's very difficult to pinpoint. Very sweet, powdery, a very soft note, but yeah, it's not an orchid you get for the scent, but I actually really do like the smell of the orchid. I actually like the flowers. Many people talk about the fact that you only get this orchid for the leaves. Obviously it has these beautiful copper striations on the leaves that shimmer in the light, but I actually really like the flowers. I'm very much a terrestrial orchid person, so very happy to have this one in my collection. Sorry if I'm going fast, there's a lot to get through. We'll move on to the coconut orchid. This one has flowered for me before. As you can see, it's becoming quite a big bush at the moment. Very they say toasted coconut smell. I unfortunately pick up a lot of celery scents in this one's fragrance. I really like the shape of the flowers and the color and everything. This is the Odor Post variety It's the Maxillaria tenafolia, very, very beautiful orchid. I have added a few extra Maxillarias to my collection. I really enjoy them, the leaves, the flowers and everything, but I'm not a big fan of the fragrance. As I said, it's very celery scented for me. It might be because of the conditions in my greenhouse. It gets very hot in the greenhouse, and I have noted when it's when the flowers first come out and it's cooler in the day, it is more toasted coconut, but when it starts to get very hot, then it starts to smell more like celery. I don't know if it's the variety or it's just the heat in the greenhouse. But nonetheless, I still love the orchid. Next, I will give you a close-up of this orchid. You can see how tiny it is for perspective. This is my Orchids fragrance. I haven't actually detected a fragrance at all from this orchid. I don't know if I imagine it's named fragrance because it's supposed to be fragrant, but I'm not sure. But again, this is one of my miniature species. I really, really enjoy this orchid. It's been in flower about 2 or 3 times for me. I'm always excited. I'm always going close with the macro lens to see what's going on with the flowers because they're so tiny. Probably about the size of I would say they're the size of a pencil nib, the whole pencil nib. And yeah, they are very, very pretty. Then another one that I've been super excited about, I'll insert images of when this one started to flower. This is a South African species. It's give me a moment to say the name, Diaphanantha miliarii. This is crossed by sibling. I have a new growth coming out on this one, but the flush of flowers are really, really pretty. There's no scent that I can detect on this one, but I really like the blooms display and how the orchids got about 3 or 4 flower spikes, but how they all come in this triangular type of form at the bottom of the leaves. It's really, really pretty to see. If you go to the Afri Orchids website, you will see, or I think it's the Instagram page, you will see they have a whole wall of these hanging up. It looks absolutely beautiful. So another cool species to add to your collection. Then we'll move on to another South African. This is a hybrid. This is not a species. I think it's a cross between two species. It's this is a Polystachya. It is Polystachya valentina by Galliata. A very, very pretty cross. Pale, dirty pink type of flowers. Also has a fragrance. It fills the greenhouse as well. It's a very sweet fragrance, similar to cotton candy or marshmallows. It reminds me of marshmallows every time I smell this orchid. Very, very pretty orchid, and also one of the ones that I've found quite easily to manage quite easily on a mount. There is a bit of a moss ball below that, so yeah, but does very well in our greenhouse, so pretty happy about that one. In front over here we have the beautiful little Phalaenopsis hybrid that's back in flower. This one seems to flower profusely for us. This one was in flower not too long ago. I think it was about 6 months ago, so not sure what's going on there. Normally they flower once a year, but yeah, it's back in flower. Very, very pretty Phalaenopsis, and I really like the patterning on the Phalaenopsis. Next we have this one over here. This is the, see the name of this one again, it's something angel. Okay, it's the BLC Hao Yuan Angel. This is a Cattleya cross. Very, very beautiful petals. I love I think it's a type of Peloria on the petals, and the coloring on the lip and at the tips of these petals. Very, very pretty. So yeah, I really like that one. It's got a beautiful scent. It's not very strong, so it doesn't fill the greenhouse, but it's absolutely beautiful. Probably one of my more favorite scents. Very much rose, very, very rosy, with a little bit of lemon. Someone actually mentioned lemon sherbet. I think it was for the Cattleya purpurata. And it's got a very much similar fragrance to that. It's like a lemon sherbet type of thing, but with rose notes. It's absolutely beautiful. Really love this one. So yeah, a definite must have to add to your collection. Also flowers pretty easily. I have had it in flower quite a few times, but this I think is the first time I'm actually presenting it on camera. Oh, the fragrance is beautiful. Next, we have another one with an amazing fragrance. I think many of you will know this one. This is the Odontoglossum Pachellum. Beautiful, sweet, soapy, very clean fragrance. Also, I detect a very almost like oleander type of fragrance to it. It's very, very beautiful. And yeah, I love the leaves on this one and the tiny bulbs. I actually really prefer smaller to miniature sized orchids. The bigger ones aren't always my favorite, but I love these smaller types of flowers. Actually, as you can see, many of these, the orchids that are in flower at the moment now, are the smaller varieties, and I really like it. I know many people like these massive big flowers. I don't dislike them. It's just I prefer these smaller flowers and the scented flowers to the bigger ones. Oh, that's lovely as well. Yeah. So those are really, really awesome flowers, and I'm very happy to have them. And then the one over here, you can see this monster over here. This is, oh, I always forget the name. It's a Catetante. What is it now? It's the, name's breaking up here. Oh gosh, can't get this out. I think it's something like Kilome Catetante or something like that. I don't know. I'll put the name in at the bottom. I do have it online. This is a really pretty Oncidium type. I love the coloring on the flowers. This like almost brick brown type of flowers, and the size of these flower spikes. And this isn't even how big the orchid can get. This is a bit neglected, to be honest, but. Yeah, they put out these beautiful massive spikes. I think this is the first time this one's bloomed for me since I received it about 2 years ago, I would say. It's the first time it's bloomed in my collection. The flower spikes are a bit bent. It actually got caught under the lip in my greenhouse when it was sending out the flower spike, and I actually didn't notice that it was even with this leaf over here. That's this specific flower spike. I saw that one. I saw this one coming up over here. So unfortunately they are a bit bent, but nonetheless absolutely beautiful. There's no fragrance on this one, or none that I can detect, but that's also a very beautiful orchid. And then a little surprise I want to show you guys and talk about, but before we go on to that, so on the wild orchids, I am still getting out the videos. I've had a bit of issues with my laptop recently, and I've been struggling to do the editing, and I'm not happy to put out raw footage for those videos. They're very special to me on the wild orchids, so I'm going to make sure that I get them done well. As I said, I've got 3 or 4 that I need to get up. We're going this weekend up Table Mountain, hopefully to see more Disas, so quite excited to see what we will get out. I am planning to have one out this week or the following week. So please just bear with me on that until I can get my computer sorted out properly and get the editing done. This one will be this video is a little bit easier because I don't have to do as much editing on the video, and I can kind of edit this one on my phone. Then moving on to the pots that you see in front of you. These I've decided to try my hands, which I've been mentioning I think for 2 years now, again at Disa Orchids. So I went to the Kirstenbosch nursery and I purchased flask Disas. What I needed to do though was I needed to find a setup that I believed would work well for the Disas before I rushed back into it, because with previous experience they are finicky in cultivation. Some people have them grow really easily, some others don't. I kind of want to relate them a bit to the Zygopedilums, which, yeah, it's a bit of an interesting story with me with those as well. But basically they are cool growers, and they don't do well in dry type of, or at least in hot dry conditions. They like their humidity and things like that. Obviously they grow high up on the mountains. They do grow naturally here, but they high up at high elevations in the mountains, which they in full sun as well, so they require high sun conditions, but obviously cool conditions. So it's a very complex environment. So what I've managed to do, because I've taken a bit of notes from, and that's why I mentioned this one earlier, the Phragmipediums, which are doing really well in my collection. So I'm doing a similar setup. I'm planting them in a sphagnum moss mix that comes with or that is recommended for them, but I'm also doing a self-watering system with them. So in that way they won't dry out very easily, and they'll constantly, although you don't see the water flowing, the water is obviously constantly moving and wicking through the entire medium. So that was the first thing that I wanted to do. Then the light conditions, I've got these on my windowsill. The light does get stronger in winter. There's no sunlight in summer, so I am a little bit concerned, because I know in the natural environment they have pretty high light, but I know in cultivation they grow in about 50% shade. So I'm going to see how they do on the windowsill. I'm presuming, I know that the Phragmipediums take a little bit less light, but if I can just get them to grow, if they don't flower, I'm not too concerned right now. I just want to be able to get them to grow, and then I can slowly adjust their climate to try and get them to flower. But I suspect they'll do well on the windowsill. Also, that window where they are is constantly open, so constant air movement is essential for them, and that constant movement of water in the wicking process. So let's see how these do. I did, as I said, I've got seedlings rather than fully grown orchids, because I thought maybe the transition will be a little bit better for the seedlings, whereas a fully grown orchid that is accustomed to its environment, changing that might be a little bit more of an issue. I've always found seedlings a little bit easier. So we'll see how that goes. But out of flask, they can literally flower within the first year. So by this time next year, I imagine we may be seeing blooms of these orchids. So the two varieties I got are the Disa tripetaloids, which is a species. I decided to get one easy growing species, which is the tripetaloids. It's the easiest Disa to grow, so that was the first one. But I also wanted a colorful Disa, because the tripetaloids is more of a white, bit of pink markings on it, but it's more of a white orchid. I wanted one of the color varieties. I tried to get my Disa coensis, the pink one, which I had years ago. They never had that, but they did have a yellow form, the odopost form of the Disa coensis, which is a hybrid between the uniflora and the tripetaloids. So yeah, let's see how that goes. And yeah, I'll insert images of these two orchids for you as well. But thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you guys have a great new year, and good luck for 2022. I'll be back early in January with some more videos for you guys. So keep well, stay safe, and please like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content such as this. Bye guys.